All right, we're live, baby. Let's get it. Three, two, one. What up? What it is? What's poppin'? It's the neighborhood nice guy, Kdot, and we have another episode of Keeping It 9450, code name WBB. This is our weekly show, our weekly roundup, and I have none other than my illustrious co-host, the smartest, the most beautiful, the most elegant, Lolivia Pope. What up? What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Listen, another day above ground is a good day. So I'm black and I'm blessed. I'm doing great. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well too. So I'm glad we're back to talk about some hoops.
Absolutely. And of course, we're here to break down all things women's basketball with energy, edge, and expertise. And we're going to be recapping a wild stretch of WNBA preseason games from May 7th through May 11th, from Atlanta's season opener to Golden State's wild comeback. We've got stats, we got standout moments, we got real talk. Let's jump right into it. So, I kind of want to get away from the preseason games just right quick because there's been some talk in Twitter land and everywhere else regarding the cuts that are happening. Obviously, there are reports coming out from a lot of these franchises camps where they're announcing roster cuts. They have to cut these rosters down to 12, and they have that 48-hour period where they have to get those rosters down. And of course, there are some notable names that are being waived, being released. Of course, I think today the probably the major name that we've heard is Deja Kelly of the Las Vegas Aces. Obviously, Deja Kelly had a phenomenal preseason, especially in that second game versus the Phoenix Mercury, where she hit the go-ahead shot and also tallied, if I'm not mistaken, 15 points in that second half. So there's been a lot of talk, right, about not just Deja Kelly, but other, notable standouts. Serena Sandell of the Seattle Storm, Mackenzie Holmes as well of the Seattle Storm. They were also waived. And of course, going right back to that name that we talked about last week, Cheyenne Sellers, unfortunately, was waived by the Atlanta Dream. So I wanted to kind of just talk about that just briefly before we get into all of the recaps, because I want a lot of people from an education standpoint to kind of understand a few things when it comes to how things are within the WNBA landscape and how, a lot of these teams are kind of pretty much forced to do the unfortunate things, when it comes to these players. So I know I just said a mouthful, but I do want to get your perspective on it. And then I'll go into my whole, soliloquy about how, it works. So obviously I know, and shout out to you, by the way, because you mentioned this on your TikTok
Hmm.
last week, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. And, you gave everybody a little bit of a breakdown on what's going on as well. So, first things first, I want to be respectful of your thoughts. So, what do you think about the whole thing? And then, of course, we'll circle back and we'll give everybody the education behind why things are occurring the way they're occurring.
Yeah. I think that I was already equipped, and I think most OG WNBA fans were already equipped in regards to what was going to happen. Like year after year, we've been seeing this happen, so it wasn't much of a shocker. And I think that's specifically why I made the video last week because I was like, people are going to be very hurt in the next week or so because their favorites are going to not make a roster, and it's not because they're not necessarily good enough. But sometimes, and I'll say most times, it's about the fit in regards to just where you land in the draft, or in Deja Kelly's instance, she didn't even get drafted. So the Aces gave her an opportunity. And one thing I will say about the Aces, like a lot of people are mad that they cut her, and I understand why they're mad. Like if you don't understand the background of it and how the contracts work, I get why you're angry because you think that, talent wise, she looked a lot better than some of the people that are on the roster. I get it. The anger is completely justifiable. But you also have to understand with only 12 spots, somebody has to get cut. And that's why we've been yelling from the rooftops, the mountaintops, like, yes, it's cool to have expansion teams, but most importantly, we need to have expansion. We need to have expand the rosters, like the roster sizes, because too many talented players are not being able to play in the WNBA simply because it's not enough space. And I see people on the timeline saying, "Oh, the WNBA just loves the veterans. They just have this, relationship with the vets that they just won't retire, etc." And I'm like, because they're a little bit older means that they should retire? Like, no, that's not how it works. If they can still hoop, why not hoop? Like, yes, Diana Taurasi played till she was 42. I'm not saying do that, but whole time, like, Diana was averaging 18 points last year. If she really wanted to go again, she was good enough to play in the WNBA and would have played better at 42 than a lot of the people that y'all call y'all favorites. You know what I'm saying? So I think I don't really like the narrative where it's like, oh, this is just a vets league and they cater to the vets. Like, if they were good enough and were the right fit, they would be on the roster. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, it's just honest. Like, you have to be so good that they cut somebody else because you're that good and your skills standing out that much. So for Deja Kelly, it was um I won't even say a bad situation. She just happens to go to a team that didn't really, or a team picked her up that didn't really have that many roster spots to keep her employed. But one thing I will say, and shout out to the Aces for this, is they gave her a lot of opportunity to show what she could do. And so I know the season is about to start shortly and people are cutting their rosters to make it fit that 12, 13 for some teams like Vegas because, Cheyenne Parker Tyus is out due to pregnancy, but she will be back. So when she comes back, another person is going to have to be cut from that team. But I say all that to say, who's to say that Deja doesn't see another WNBA team this year? Injuries happen, unfortunately, hardship contracts and stuff like that. So because the Aces were, willing to give her that much time to showcase her abilities, other teams could very well be knocking on her door, if they need her in that capacity. Hell, I mean, Connecticut, the Mystics, those are two teams that don't have a guard that can handle the ball and get the offense set up. So that's my little soliloquy. I think it's just a part of the game. We're kind of used to it. We both agree that it shouldn't be this way, and the rosters need to expand. Like, I think we're so gun ho and we need these teams. We need this many teams. We need this many teams in WNBA, and it's like, yes, we do need more teams in WNBA, but fix what you have at home first. Fix the roster sizes first before we go add in new teams. And so I'll hand it over to you because you brought it to my attention that a lot of people don't understand that the roster expansion isn't necessarily a commissioner thing, it's more of a CBA thing. So I'll hand it over to you so you can go ahead and explain that to the people.
Yeah, and thank you for that incredible segue because I do want to give a shout out to our homie friend of the show, Yanalytics, because she also did mention this on Twitter, and I love shouting out our black women before
Yeah.
anything. Um, I want to give a background from a CBA standpoint because we've talked about this whole CBA. We've talked about it at nauseum. We're
Yeah.
one of the only shows that really gave you a good breakdown on how the CBA works, especially this CBA that they opted out of in last year's at the end of last year's season.
Hmm.
So when it comes to the whole roster spots and the whole availability, people have to understand that this league runs at a hard cap. There's no soft cap. There's no, like, it's literally a hard cap. No
Yeah.
luxury tax at all, nothing. And you're only fitted to fit a certain number of spots on your team, whether it's 12 players or whether it's 11 players,
Hmm.
depending on your salary. And when it comes to the whole roster expansion situation, unfortunately, we are not going to see that in this CBA because this CBA didn't emphasize the amount of people that are on a roster. It
Mm.
only emphasized a certain amount, and that amount was 12. Hence the reason why the title of the documentary 144 came into fruition. Shout out to
Yeah.
Chineo Obumake. So that's part of why you don't see an expansion of rosters. The second thing,
I
I
have a
know,
question. So they
yeah.
can't like make an amendment and be like, yeah, now we want to add this.
So you know what's funny? You would think they could make the amendment because there was amendment from a travel standpoint,
Right.
right? So it's funny that it was mentioned. It's funny that you mentioned that because I would have thought there could have been some type of amendment deal going on within the current CBA, but obviously they
Right.
weren't thinking about that, right?
Yeah.
And this is another I'm not going to say issue. I'm not going to say issue. This is another thing that I saw that was concerning from a player's union standpoint. There's been a lot of loose ends that needed to be kind of tightened, and they were never tightened, basically. Um, so that's part of it. And moving into the whole commissioner part of it, I want everybody to understand the purpose of the commissioner. The commissioner is they represent the league as a whole, right?
Yeah.
They don't necessarily represent the players. They don't necessarily represent the owners. They are supposed to be the mediator of everything that goes on between what the players union want and what the owners or governors want when it comes to negotiating and collectively bargaining an agreement so that both parties can be satisfied. So when I do see a lot of our fans and shout out to the fans who are extremely passionate who don't necessarily know the purpose of what the commissioner is supposed to do, that isn't one of them. From a public relations standpoint, yeah, of course they're going to try to answer the questions as best as she knows how.
Hmm.
Obviously, that best as she knows how is going to be a whole bunch of jargon that we don't really care to understand.
Right.
Um,
It's just, are the rosters expanded or not? That's what we need to know.
exactly. It's always going to be a hula hoop. It's always going to be a runaround towards
Hmm.
what the answer is going to
But
be.
that's also why she has that job.
Exactly.
You have to be able to talk in circles and kind of not, it's like a politician, right? You have to
Exactly.
be able to not answer a question, but act like you're answering it. Hmm.
Exactly. So that's where I wanted to kind of explain to people that it's just unfortunate. This current CBA just has them in a chokehold.
Yeah.
It's a literal chokehold, and they can't do anything about it. This is why in negotiations for this CBA, we want to see maybe a soft cap where teams can potentially create themselves a luxury tax. That depends on if the governors or
Owners.
owners want that,
Hmm. Yep.
right? And we do, to me, and this is just my opinion, I think we are leaning more towards progressive owners than we are those owners back in yesteryear. And I
I'm
am
gonna break it
grateful for
down.
that.
The cheap owners, get up out of here. Okay. Kdot is
So,
nice. The cheap owners, get up out of here. Go ahead.
so the cheap owners, right? I think I see more owners or governors willing to spend their money versus the
Hmm.
cheap ones for sure. But it really all depends on the players union putting their foot down. They
Yeah.
have to put their foot down and cannot be satisfied with what the governors are willing to give them. Like they just cannot be satisfied. And if it comes to a point where they have to strike or lock out the season, stand on business. Like
Yeah.
just stand on it. Say go ahead and save those Sonic and Mario coins now. If you think it's not going to come into fruition, stand on business. I want you to stand on business. And us as fans and as reporters and as we're gonna stand behind you, hopefully. So I know I will.
Yeah.
I can't speak for everybody else, but I know I will. I will write the stories. I will uh record the podcast and be in solidarity with you all if you stand on business. But that's exactly what we need to look at. And That's the unfortunate part of this CBA. And that's why we have those limited roster spots. And that's why you see your favorites being waived and
Hmm.
unfortunately not being able to have that opportunity to make that final roster spot. So that's the overall thing when it comes to the whole roster cutting. And again, it's unfortunate, but hopefully within this new CBA, we see those expanded rosters
Yeah.
and we do see a little bit more in what the players union and what the players in overall as a whole need to be deserving of. So,
Yeah. I just
but
want to
I,
throw one thing in, like, aside from people's favorite players, making the team when the rosters are expanded, I think from a health standpoint, it's just needed. Like, we see how freak injuries happen, unfortunately, let's say like Georgia Amore out for the entire season. I think when I say health, I mean it for multiple reasons. Less wear and tear on these women's bodies because you have to realize just from last year, we're going from a 40 game season to this year being 44, and it's still in the same amount of time. So that means they are literally just squeezing more games and squeezing more games here and here and here without giving the players times to rest their body. And when you don't fully rest your body, what happens? The chances of injury is going to increase. Like, so I think that they really have to include it in the next CBA. They really like this is like, I know and I understand getting paid is the number one thing. I get it. The women deserve it. But from an overall health and body standpoint, the rosters have to expand for multiple reasons, but for none other than just the taxing efforts on these women's bodies. Like, you're adding more games, which means less rest days, and want them to perform at peak level. Like, it just logically just doesn't make sense. So I'm rooting for them to add in the next CBA. Listen, WNBA, NECA, put me in the negotiating rooms, okay? Because y'all need somebody that's not gonna be about the BS, and I want y'all to win. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. And speaking of winning, trying to catch a WNBA live game this season, use SeatGeek. Grab your tickets and don't forget to use our promo code, the 9450, to get $20 off your first purchase. That's the 9450. Tap in and get your tickets. Now, let's get into what we were really wanting to talk about today. And these are some of these preseason games that came about this past week. So, what I really enjoyed about this week and the preseason games is, of course, not just the draft picks, but the teams and how they're assembling themselves to prepare for a 44 game season. Reminder, it is 44 games this year. So they've added what, 4 games
Hmm.
from they went from I think 30 I want to say they went from 36 to 38 to 40 to 44 or something like
Hmm.
that. I could be completely wrong in the game order in the past 4 or 5 years, but they are playing 44 games. And the biggest thing that I was excited about in preseason from this standpoint is, of course, last year we had a whole bunch of preseason games that occurred, and none of them were pretty much, I guess, aired
Hmm.
nationally. You did have a few here and there, but this time around, the WNBA and the WNBA app, they've been gracious enough to show all of these games in preseason, and we've seen some nationally televised games, which have been amazing.
Hmm.
But going into these games, I do want to talk about um, a couple of these games. We're not going to go through all of them, but I do want to start off with the defending champs, right? The Connecticut Sun versus the New York Liberty on May 9th. So, in a 94-86 win, the Connecticut Sun shut me up because last week they went to Seattle and they didn't look like what we saw on Friday,
Right.
right? And I was like, you know what? Hey, man, the sun's set for Lauren Betts. And of course, there's been news that came out today that they're looking to sell and they
Great
could
idea.
possibly be on the move,
Great
right?
idea.
So that's even more news to talk about when it comes to the Connecticut Sun. But the defending champs, right? They were without Leonie Phoebus, who was still winning championships. She just won the championship for her overseas team, and also without Brianna Stewart, who is still rehabbing and getting that knee from that procedure that she had back in March, getting ready and ramped up to go. So the new look to me, the new look New York Liberty at the guard position to me looked really, really promising.
Yeah.
They looked extremely good. Yeah, they lost, but I wrote a piece on this, and shout out to the local W, by the way. Y'all go check that out. I wrote a piece on this game in particular, and what stood out to me about the New York Liberty is the heightened ball movement with Natasha Cloud at the helm, and the increased pressure that we see from a defensive standpoint
Yeah.
with Natasha Cloud at the helm. And then you also have a Rebecca Gardner coming off that Achilles, a full year rehab. She also looked very, very promising in that backup
Hmm.
role. And then the fan favorite, Maureen Johannes.
Yeah.
She's coming in, just putting in work. I mean, the fadeaway threes, like it was just amazing to watch. But more importantly, I just like the way New York looked. Yeah, there are a lot of things that they need to tweak from a defensive standpoint, just from a to me, from a communication standpoint. I don't think
Yeah.
it's necessarily defense, but I think it's just more communication, learning how to understand when to switch, when to play drop coverage, when to stay home and things of that nature. But what were your initial thoughts from this particular game? And I'm talking about New York, but Connecticut to me looked just as good in making the adjustment from the offensive woes we saw in Seattle just a week ago. So what were your thoughts?
Yeah, kind of circle back around to New York quickly. I think Marine Johannes literally showed everyone why people said that the Liberty may repeat when she decided to, come back this year and play versus her not playing last year. Like it's already a stacked team, but now you're adding, Marine back, you're adding Rebecca Gardner, who had, great time playing in Chicago. She was, I think, who found her? James Wade, right? Yeah, like James Wade did a lot of bad in the WNBA, but man, could he spot some talent and off
Absolutely.
off back, like when she was playing for Chicago, you could just tell like she's gritty, she gets after it, she can score the basketball, she can get down in a defensive stance and play defense, just kind of all in your face. And so when I saw that she was going to the New York Liberty, I was like, oh, this is great. But then I heard she tore Achilles, and I'm like, oh, damn. But now she has a whole year under her belt. So I'm very excited to see how she does. And with the defense, of course, didn't look great, but I think Stewie cleans up a lot of those things because she's out there communicating. And let's not forget that Stewie is only a year or two removed from being Defensive Player of the Year. So she cleans up a lot of things just based on her length as well. So I think it will get better, and I think that their defense will be better than it was last year because now they have Natasha Cloud at the, POA. And she just brings a different type of mentality to that team. You don't need her to go out and score 20 points, but her just being that dog, like the person that's going to play hard for 40 minutes, can get in a defensive stance, can hit an open shot when they pass her the ball. Like, I think she's going to be huge for them to potentially repeat. And from the Connecticut side, Tina Charles, I mean, great minutes from her. You know, 2 years ago, Tina was talking about retiring. Like she was done with basketball. Nobody was on her line. And then she comes out and, she's showing these young bucks like, hey, I can still get busy when need be. So you got to give the Sun credit for just competing. Everyone has kind of thrown in the towel on this team and they're showing you that they are still going to compete. Of course, Marina, sister, is getting up them shots shout. Like, so I'm interested to see how they look. Of course, I don't think that they're a playoff team in my opinion. But we also haven't seen them at full health either. So
Yeah.
we'll see what they look like.
Yeah, and Tina Charles dropped 17 points in that game. The
Hmm.
Sun, the thing that stood out to me was the Sun turned 18 Liberty turnovers into 29 points,
Yeah.
despite New York shooting 57% from the field
Hmm.
and 48% from three. Like, that's wild to
That is
me.
wild.
That's
That's
wild.
wild. Yeah.
Um, so I think that, that game overall, very, very entertaining game, to say the least. And again, I really enjoyed the way that New York ran their offense.
Yeah.
The very first paragraph, pretty much in that story that I wrote, was talking about off the jump ball, how Natasha Cloud gets into a set where John Quell sets a pin down for Sabrina, and they basically it's a slip to the basket for John Quell for easy for an easy lay because Tina Charles and JC Sheldon decided to double Sabrina off that pin down. It's kind
Right.
of like what we talk about. We talk about motion and gravity,
Yeah.
and they don't want to give up the 3-point shot. And as a result of that, John Quell Jones had a nice slip to the basket. They had another rendition of that where instead of John Quell slipping to the basket, she sets another screen, a ball screen for Natasha Cloud. And I don't know what happened in the case, but I think there was drop coverage being played, and Natasha had a open lane to the basket on John Quell's seal. So
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell that from an offensive standpoint, New York is going to look really good. Like I said, just got to clean up a little bit on defense, and like you said, of course, Brianna Stewart will be, a very pivotal part of that.
Yeah.
But overall, very very good game. But
I want to
with
throw this
that,
in before you move forward. I think
yeah,
Sabrina is going to have a good year this year. I
yes,
think she won't have to bring up the ball as much as she did last year, so
hmm
it puts her back in her natural position. And because New York also has so many scoring weapons, like you literally have to pick your poison.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And when we're talking about picking poison, I want to kind of segue into Saturday's games, which was Indiana and Atlanta.
Hmm.
I do want to talk about them right quick because there's this certain someone that the Atlanta Dream drafted where I was completely high on.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, said player dropped to the second round, but on Saturday she showed that you know she packed that thing too. So anybody trying to get something, they're gonna get clapped. And that's
Period.
talking about shoot 'em up, pow pow, Tahina pow pow. She was incredible
Yeah.
to me in that game. I mean, just looked like an overall, like she looked like
Look
she
like a
got it.
pro.
Like
Right.
she got it. And I said when she got drafted, again, you already know what it is. Shout out to Jay, the best damn W. We talked about this in our pre-mock draft discussions where Tahina Pow Pow just has this ability not only to quietly get her shot off, but she has motion herself. And a lot of people don't know that. And that's part of the Dawn Staley effect,
Yeah.
in which she understands just how to play the game and let the game come to her. Yeah, she can be more aggressive, but we did see that Saturday. We saw that. We saw how aggressive she was. She understood screen navigation. She understood how to play her cards when she was being defended. Had a nice step back on retaliation to Caitlin Clark after
Hmm.
on the defensive end, not being in the best defensive position, but great get back, incredible get back, to say the least. But I think that Tahina Pow Pow, just from an overall pro perspective, she just gets it, and
Hmm.
and she displayed that on Saturday, and I was really really excited to see how she looked. Of course, Atlanta did not win. Indiana got the victory 81-76. Indiana looked really, really good to me. They dominated on the boards, obviously.
Hmm.
I think it was what 53 rebounds total.
38.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and Atlanta, they just I think they just shot like probably like a little bit under 34% from the field. So defensively, the thing that we talked about last week with Indiana,
Hmm.
can that defense be consistent enough?
Right.
And we kind of saw a little bit of that from Indiana, and they have lots of growth that we could see. But Caitlyn again looked really, really good.
Hmm.
Um, I just think that again, this team can do a little bit of damage. So, what are your thoughts on this game in particular?
I want to circle back around to Pow Pow because I saw some very interesting talks on the timeline, and people being shocked that she performed in this manner. And I think it's just a testament to Dawn Staley and her program. Of course, Pow Pow for putting in the work, but more importantly, Dawn Staley and her program for preparing these women for the WNBA. So delete the drafts, delete all the shit y'all were saying about Dawn can't she can't generate guards or she can't produce guards and all this stuff. Like, you can use literally Pow Pow as an example. Like, she can't, the first year she was at South Carolina, shot 50% from long distance. This year didn't shoot as great as she did when she first came in, but look at how she improved her overall game. Like, you can tell that Dawn and the team literally told her, these are the things you need to work on this summer in order to be successful in the WNBA. And she did that. When we first saw her with South Carolina last year, the first things everyone noticed was she's attacking the rim more and she's pulling up for the mid range because everyone knows she's already a great 3-point shooter, right? One of the best strokes. So um, you could just see last year she was literally doing things in the game that she knew she would have to do at a WNBA level. And again, that's a testament to what they're building down in South Carolina. Now, I will also give credit to Pow Pow because she had to put in the work in order to improve in those areas that needed to be improved on. We can still definitely work on the defense a little bit, but that'll come with time. But I mean, shooting 5 for 6 from the field with 14 points, making the team, like, come on now. She looked great out there. And as far as Indiana, I've already been high on them on paper. I want to see them put it all together, of course. But to me, Lexi Hall is the sleeper on the Fever. Like, we talk about all the new additions with Dewana Bonner, Flash. Hell, people even talking about Sophie Cunningham. But like Lexi Hall, I know she's not, a newer addition, but she's going to be the unsung hero this year. Like, she can defend. She plays with grit. She can shoot the ball from deep. She just does a little bit of everything and she does it correctly. 14 points on 50% shooting. I think Unrivaled also helped her. Like, a lot of people were very skeptical with Unrivaled, but I think we're already seeing the benefit of these women playing Unrivaled. Look at Angel, look at Lexi, look at Chelsea, look at Jackie. They're already coming in the season in shape. Like, they are, I get even BG, like, from her just extending her game to shoot. I know we're not talking about, her right now, but to extend her game to start shooting threes. Like, I think she hit over the 2 games that she played. I think she's like 80 or 100% from deep. It's crazy. And I'm like, bro, she's taken 44 threes out of her whole career. And so far in preseason, she's already taken 4 or 5. So, of course, we all know Carl is from Florida Gulf Coast and he likes to run and gun and he likes to get threes up. And so we're already seeing that that's Atlanta's identity and that's what they're going to do. I think I read something that said in the game against the Mystics, let me see if I have it here. In the game against the Mystics, they shot 35 threes. Their average last year was 19 a game. So they are doubling that average already. And so we already know that this is going to be their game plan. And at first I was a little bit hesitant, like how will Bree Jones and BG work in regards to spacing? But BG stepping out to the 3-point line now, so you have to defend her. Like, and she's hitting it. It's not like she's just stepping out there and bricking. Like you're going to have to put a hand out there now. So I think that helps with spacing. I think Bree Jones is just a great back to the back player, and she just is an ultimate professional and knows how to work around BG. So I was a little bit concerned. I'm not gonna lie about BG getting up and down the floor once I saw that Carl, the Florida Gulf Coast coach, was coming there. I was like, man, she's my age. She's in her mid 30s. Like, them knees, she's tall too. I'm like, I don't really know. But sister girls get up and down that floor. And again, I think that's because of Unrivaled too. I'm not gonna hold you.
Yeah, that's a fact. And just like you said, Coach Carl Schmesko, formerly of Florida Gulf Coast, now the head coach of the Atlanta Dream. His philosophy is always kind of like a 5 out type set, or
Mhm.
now we're looking at 41 sets. And shout out to Coach Brandon Payne, my former head coach for the AAU team, Accelerate Basketball. He used to run a lot of those 41 sets, a lot of those Denver sets that we see in Denver
Yeah.
currently with Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. and Ryan Howard and or Alicia Gray is going to be in that particular set. Those are going to be those sets that they're going to be responsible for coming off of those flare screens and hitting those threes. And I think
You're a
that we
genius
saw
because you're absolutely right. Like that is literally what they because as you're talking, I'm like, bro, that's literally what they do in
abs-
Denver.
absolutely. So it's exactly what we're seeing. And then when BG or Bree is out, they literally just play 5 out. You just have Nas
Hmm.
Hillman at the five.
Yep.
You put in you put in obviously Nia Coffee or
Hmm.
a think about this lineup: Nia Coffee, Naz Hillman, Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, and you can insert Pow Pow, you can
Yeah.
insert Jordan Canada. And by the way, Jordan Canada is reportedly to be out a few weeks with that knee
Hmm.
injury she sustained against the Mystics. So prayers on for a speedy recovery there. But there's so many things that you can do with that particular set. And even if you
Yeah.
insert BG into that set, of course, as you've seen in the last 2 games, she's been willing to play out on the perimeter. And
Hmm.
again, another gravitational pull
Yep.
because even though she's 6'8", she's still bringing in. You still have to guard her. Still have
Yeah.
to guard her, and if she's going to be hitting those shots as consistently as we've seen in the preseason, I think that Atlanta is going to, do a very very good job in a lot of those sets, and they're going to be so confused. Defenses, I mean, are going to be so confused, with those type of sets. But I think that just overall, both teams obviously they look really really good. It was very very entertaining, but it's going to be very interesting once again with both of these teams on how they come into the season, this week. But I wanted to move on to the final game. I'm not going to go over Dallas and the Japanese national team.
I didn't even watch it. I was like, man,
No need
I like
to,
flipped to it
right?
and I was like, man, hell nah. And I turned it right off.
Yeah, no need to. I mean, when you have Dallas shooting 67% from the field, come on, man.
Yeah.
Um, and whatever. But shout out to Dallas though. Shout out to Dallas. But I do want to kind of just drop in Chicago and Minnesota because this is kind of like a grudge match from what we've seen in last week's matchup. So it was pretty much a home and home pregame. Chicago was home in the first game, Minnesota home in the second game, and it was a battle, until the very end. Nafisa Collier dropped 26 and to lead the Lynx 92 to 87. Jessica Shepard,
Hooping.
10, 8, and 9. That's sick. Coming back. Welcome back.
Hooping.
Um, just straight hooping. And Jessica Shepard, by the way,
And she
is
looks thinner too, right?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Looks extremely healthy,
Hmm.
extremely fit, and that's what they're going to need. I think to me, Jessica Shepard was indeed that missing piece last year. To
Could have
me,
been.
um, her offensive rebounding prowess, her mind for the game, understanding how to just understand when people are overplaying and learning how to pass off the back. Like she's extremely good at that. And then it was reported that Dorka Juhas is going to be foregoing the
Yeah.
2025 season. So that's even better for Jessica Shepard to come back
Hmm.
and spare a lot of those Atlanta Smith minutes from last year, and to come in and be an additional piece to Minnesota's what we're calling the revenge tour. Yeah, I mean it's obvious.
Yeah.
They
They're
you know
locked in.
they're locked in, but I think that this game in particular was a really really good game. The sky is falling with threes I love that they're shooting more threes. They were at
Yes.
towards the bottom of the league last year in 3-point attempts and 3-point makes. Didn't have a lot of shooting last year
Right.
outside of Rachel Banham, but now you add in a Kia Nurse, you add in a Rebecca Allen.
Hmm.
Of course, you still have Rachel Banham, right? I think that they just look extremely good. Angel looks extremely good. Camilla,
Yes.
who spent
Bella.
her time in China, she looks extremely good. And it wasn't until the end that Minnesota was able to break away, but Chicago was in that game
Yeah.
almost the entire game. And they just look really, really good. Coach Tyler Marsh is those getting those opportunities together, and they look extremely good. What are your thoughts?
I just want to go back to Camilla for a second. Like, I'm gonna say it here, within the next 2 years, Camilla will be the best center in the league.
I love it.
She listen, the game is starting to slow down for her, and that is scary for everyone that's not on her team. Like, Camilla is finishing around the rim better. She's more confident. Her footwork looks better. We already know she runs like a freaking cheetah down the damn court. Like, I've never seen like a big run the way that she does. Like, she just gracefully glides down the court. So, always a fast break opportunity when you have a big that's willing to get down to the end of the court like that. But finishing through contact, like, she just looks better. And you could tell, like, even at South Carolina, she was still getting her game together. She was still developing into her game. Like, for years, she just has been, I'm just flat out say, she's been bigger than everybody else. And so therefore she could just score over them. Now that doesn't necessarily work when you're playing against the best talent in the world. And so Camilla, listen, I know a lot of people talk, and I was one of them. I know a lot of people talk about the China League and how it's iffy depending on where you are in China in terms of the competition. But baby, like, China has added something else to Camilla because she's absolutely hooping. Like, and I think she's going to have a breakout season. I'm praying for good health that, she doesn't get injured like last year because that kind of derailed the path that she was, going on. We saw towards the end of the year, like, her game started to come full circle, but I'm just praying for just a healthy year for everybody, honestly. But also with Angel, like, the thing that I like, which I didn't think I would like, Angel's getting the rebound and bringing the ball up. She's not even looking for the outlet. Sometimes she's bringing it up herself, and I didn't think I would like that, but I do. Like, I do like her handling the ball a little bit better. I like how she, can do some high-low action with Camilla and get her great positioning. Angel is passing that thing down there. Great post-entry passes. Some are a little iffy, but we still working on it. But I'm expecting another big year out of her. You can see, and I said this again last week, you can see the growth in her game as well. Like, that front court is going to be one of the best front courts in the WNBA this year. I'm just going to say, and as they continue, if they can keep that core together for a while and just continue to build around those two, they will win a championship eventually. Like, not now, but they're that good and they'll be that good if they continue to just keep putting this work into their game. And that's what you're seeing. Like, you're seeing people not just talk about it, you're seeing them actually putting the work into their game. And you got to respect it. Like, Tyler has these women knowing their roles. He has them, like, the thing is, when you hoop, if you know your role, it makes your life so much easier because you don't try to go outside of yourself. Like, good basketball players, at least. You don't try to do too much and go outside of yourself. You know what your job is, you know what you need to do, and you can tell that he has told everyone, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. Don't try, like, he has made the roles clear and identified them. And I think that was one thing that was lacking last year. It just looked like a free for all. Let's let Kennedy shoot and then let Angel get her double doubles and we going home after this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was no real structure to it. And I think from Rip, you can see that they're locked in defensively. You can see that there's space in the floor so that people can shoot the ball. And I don't want to say, I'm not saying that to be rude or mean to Teresa Weatherspoon, because I think that she does deserve another shot as a head coach, or just coaching in general in the WNBA, even if it's not head coach, assistant coach, whatever the case may be. But I think that this year they have a better shot because they also built a better roster around the front court. Last year, the only shooter they had was Marina, and then she left. She requested a trade out of there. So it's like people were like, why weren't they shooting like this last year? Who was going to do it? I mean, Rachel came in, went from the Marina trade, but like who was gonna do it? Like, so I get people like trying to kind of shit on Teaspoon. That's not what I'm trying to do at all. Like, it's clear as day that she got handed a shitty hand in regards to, I think it was like 8 new players. She's a rookie head coach. Your best player that people were building the team around. I won't say your best player because I think Kennedy. I would choose Kennedy over Marina any given day just because Kennedy's a bucket. But I'll say like the franchise player that you guys were supposed to build around requested a trade in the middle of the season. Like, then Elizabeth Williams gets injured, Angel gets injured, Camilla's injured. So like it was just so many things against her. So I'm not doing it as a comparison thing, but I will say that Tyler has him locked in and ready to go.
Yeah, and mind you, they were top six in the playoff standings before everything pretty
Correct.
much
And people
fell
seem to forget
apart.
about that.
Yeah,
People seem to forget about
like
that.
so I think that, overall, from a Chicago standpoint, they look extremely good, and
Yeah.
I agree with everything that you mentioned, Lo, because again, when you talk about accountability, that's what you see, right? Like
Hmm.
it all boils down to accountability. And I think each and every last one of those players on that roster, they are being held accountable. Shout out to Haley Van Lith.
Yeah.
She is doing work, to be honest with you. And she is a definite fit, as well as Maddie Westbell is a fit for this squad. Like I think that both players to me couldn't have fallen to a better spot.
Yeah.
And I think that they're gonna be really really good pieces for this Chicago Sky team. So with that, I do want to segue into the Sunday game, but before we do that, need that game day energy? Welshmo Coffee has got your back with bold blends, smooth finish, and made for hoopers like you. Head over to Welshmo Coffee and power up your mornings the WNBA way. And while we power up, we want to kind of just talk about the very last game of this week, and that is the Phoenix Mercury versus the Golden State Valkyries. Now, I'm going to say this because this game, to me, in the second half was extremely entertaining.
Hmm.
Phoenix loses this game 84 to 79, but Phoenix in the first half had a 15-point lead.
Hmm.
And the starters and they were also without Kalia Copper
Hmm.
due to rest, but Satu Sabali and Alyssa Thomas, they was putting in work. Like they literally were putting in work, and they were just exciting to watch in the first half. But Golden State just wouldn't
Go
go
away.
away.
Hmm.
And they erased a 15-point deficit and forced 20 turnovers, leading to 32 points off of those turnovers. It's a historic first win for head coach Natalie Nakase. What stood out to me was the 3-point shooting. If I'm just throwing a number out there, but I think they attempted close to 43 point shots. It
Hmm.
wasn't 40 exactly, but they were up there. And I want to talk about this one player because I was not familiar with this player's game. Torre,
Me neither.
man, man. Oh my goodness. Like she put up like 19 in the second half, like alone. Like
She letting that
the
thing fly.
and I'm talking about wiggle. Like
Hmm.
Torre has wiggle to her game. Like when she put the move, oh my God, who was that? I don't know if it was Celeste Taylor or if it was Uzon, but when she put that move, or oh my God, it was either Celeste Taylor or Uzon. She put that move on, but it was on the elbow, and she hit her with the same step and came came with the
Gave
little
her one of
jerk.
the.
gave her one of the jerk boom crossover, and then with the hezzy, and then laid that thing up with the right hand on the left side. I was like, oh my goodness, golly,
Yeah.
where did you come from? Because
Right.
you are nice.
Yeah.
And she went a stretch in that game where I think she scored like 7 or 9 straight. Shooting threes, getting to the basket, playing some incredible defense as well. She was very, very, very impressive. And that's what stood out to me in that game. And the timeline was going crazy. Shout out to the timeline for even watching the
Hmm.
game and pointing that out, because honestly, I thought I was the only one watching the game after Phoenix came in and said, we was going to take care of business
I'm not
until
gonna lie,
Golden
I
State
definitely turned
said,
in the first. I definitely turned after the first half, and then everybody was like, "Oh, the game is close," and I'm like, "What?" They were literally just down 15. And so
yeah,
I
I'm
know on
like,
the men's side, like we'll see a team be down like 25, and then you still can't really turn because they can come back. But
right,
I was like,
right,
"Oh no, it's gonna be fine. Like it's preseason, they ain't gonna really be going that hard like that." And no, I
exactly.
was wrong. I was wrong.
Like it was like it was dope. Like I know that I know I've questioned the whole idea of what the roster is going to look like for the Golden State Valkyries, even going back to the expansion draft.
Yeah,
I did question it, but to be honest with you, I am going to extend a little bit of grace. I'm going to see where this plays out, because there were 2 games that they played, and both of those games were close. One of
yeah,
those games they won. Yeah, they started off really, really slow, really, really sluggish, not knowing where to be from an assignment standpoint. I get that. But they show grit. They show, a never give up attitude. And they're going to be putting up a lot of threes. I know that for sure,
man.
because
What
they was
43
letting
in one game is nuts.
they was letting that thing fly. And I
Hmm.
guess this is the trend that we're seeing
I
now
hate it. I
from
hate
an
it.
analytics standpoint. I don't want that midi to go away, because we have too many incredible players in the WNBA that has layups for middies.
Yes.
Like when they take the shot, like it's going in. Like you might as
Yeah.
well just go back on defense.
Asia
But
Wilson.
it's Courtney Williams,
Right.
Kalia Copper, you know. But just overall, I think that game was incredible. And kudos to the Golden State Valkyries, for getting that historic first win. Um, I do have one last thing that I want to talk about. And I mentioned this to you in our you know pre-production talk. Dominique Malunga.
Different.
I'm telling y'all this right now. Listen to me. She's not Dominique Malunga to me. She's Damo. She will forever be Damo. And she, to me, is going to dominate this league.
Yeah.
In a scrimmage versus the Los Angeles Sparks, I've seen some highlights, and my goodness, she was doing things that pros normally do in their fourth, fifth year in the league. I'm talking about up and unders. I'm talking about fadeaways. I'm talking about like rim running, like the full package, everything on the defensive end, blocking shots, grabbing rebounds off the block, bringing the ball up. Like there are a lot of things that prospects do that we say, oh my God, they got
Yeah.
the entire package. Damo has the entire package. And quite frankly, if she continues this upward trajectory, there's going to be a lot of talk about this draft class, and Paige Beckers isn't going to be the best one in this draft class if we're talking
Mm,
about Dominique Malunga.
they
And
not
if
gonna
she
like that
continue,
one, Kdot.
who cares? I know ball.
I agree. I agree.
I mean, come on. And
And this is I just want to throw this disclaimer out here because we got 1.1 thousand people watching. This is no slight to Paige at all.
at
This is
all,
just how good we think Dominique is going to be, how good she already is. but how good we think she is going to be just based on what we're looking at right now. Okay, go ahead, Kat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen the pre-draft workouts. I've seen what she's done in France. Mind you, the kid is only what, 19?
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that from a skill standpoint, yeah, she has a lot of work to do. Very, very raw.
Yeah.
But I like and love her game. Like there was a point in that scrimmage where I saw, and the video is pretty clear, and it's off the baseline. She gets the ball on the block and she takes a reverse pivot, dribbles, kind of do a little half spin
Mhm.
into a fade, and I'm like,
Is that when she was going off one leg?
going off one leg. That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
Elena Deladon.
yeah. It was definitely
That's
giving EDD.
that, like
Yeah,
that's Deladon, right? And
yeah,
then she grabs the rebound, outlets the ball, and rim runs. That's Brittany Griner.
yeah,
Like that's who else is an incredible rim runner? Lisa Leslie.
yeah.
Um uh who who else? Jesus. Sylvia Fowles.
Fouls.
Like
I'm gonna say
like
Sylvia,
co-
Rebecca Brunson.
Rebecca like I really enjoy watching Dominique Malunga hoop. I enjoy watching her hoop, and she does it with such grace and a smile on her face. Like she has a smile that lights up the entire room.
Yeah,
You can tell,
smiling while busting your ass is diabolical.
like it truly is diabolical, truly is. And she is going to be a force of nature. I can't wait to see her development. I can't wait to see her grow. She is in the perfect spot, where she doesn't have to do everything right now. She has
Hmm.
great veterans behind her in Nneka Ogwumike and Skylar Diggins and Ezzy Megbago. Like she has the entire pack. Erica Wheeler is there as
Yep,
well. Shout out to Zaya Cook, by the way,
making a
making
team.
making that cut. I love
Another
that
guard out
for
of South
women.
Carolina.
Shout out to South Carolina for sure. Um, I think that she has the full package, and I can't wait, to see what she looks like. In the regular season, she's going to be so dope, so dope.
I mean, I
I'm
don't
handing
really
it.
have anything to add on to it. I said last week that I don't want to use the G word just yet, but I'm
Yeah,
very close to
I
using it,
agree.
y'all. I'm very, I need to see more like in game, you know, um, play before I use that word. But she really has it all. And this is like, right now is the worst she's going to be. And that's the
Right.
scary part because
That's the
you could
scary
just
part.
tell that like the tools are there. They're all not sharpened yet, but the tools are all there. Like she has nice touch, she has nice finish around the rim, she has great footwork. Like when the game slows down for her, she's going to be, if she goes on the trajectory that I think that she can go on, if the game slows down for her, within the next 5 years, we'll be talking about her as one of the best players in the WNBA easily. Easily. Like it's not
Yeah.
I don't want to put too much pressure and say before then because it's still Asia is just entering her prime. So I think she's going to still be dominant for some time. Of course, Fee is up there as well. But when we're talking about the best players in the WNBA, like as a collective, Dominique's name is going to be in conversations for sure.
Yeah. And again, we can end it right there.
We
The
gotta
perfect
go.
the
We gotta
perfect
talk
mic
about our
drop.
people.
Yeah. Now, uh before we head out, we want to recognize a few of our family members that are avid listeners of the show. Obviously, one is of course a part of the entire
Mhm.
program. But I first want to give a shout out to our homie Felicia. We meant to do this last week, Felicia, and it literally was in the outline, and I overlooked it, so I apologize. But our homie, our dear friend, She rang the bell on last week. She beat that C word, F that C word,
Yes.
and we are so incredibly proud of you. We are our prayers, and all of our hopes came into the light, and we're just extremely proud of your journey. We're going to continue to fight with you and fight for you, but we wanted to give you your flowers because you are indeed special to us. So we wanted to, give you that shout out, um, as well as our fellow partner. Shout out to our homie DA. His father also beat that C word for a third time, and we wanted to send our blessings to you as well, sir, as you continue to take care of pops. We want to extend our gratitude to you, and we want to also just make sure that we recognize, everything that good that goes on in the
Yeah.
world. And to all of the fans out there listening, we just wanted to extend that. So if you could, if you're in the Twitter world, if you're in YouTube, if you're on Instagram, just shout Felicia and DA, bid them congratulations, on their incredible journey, and them coming back and defeating that almighty C word that always, bring us down, but it never bring us out. So we
Yeah.
want to extend, our gratitude and continue in that fight. We love you guys very much, and we wanted to, just shout you out there. Any
Yes. I just want
additional?
to add a tidbit on there.
Yeah,
I think in both cases, like just so inspirational, like
absolutely,
in talking to Felicia and her DMing me, after chemo and stuff like that, and just always in good spirits. It's just like you
absolutely,
truly never know what someone is going through or the silent battles that they're battling. So just be kind to people. Like we really don't know what people are going through. And sometimes social media can just be like a tumultuous place. And it's like, I know things are funny, especially in the black community. Like, we use humor as a way to avoid things. We use humor for so many things because I'm not going to even get started on, because I can go down a rabbit hole. I'm not going to get started on that. But we use humor for certain reasons. But I get it. It's always time for fun and games, but like at a certain point in time, you have to realize like people are going through real life shit, and especially right now. And so for DA's dad to just be fearless and faithful that God is going to get him through it, and just for Felicia to be fearless and faithful that God was going to get her through that, and he got them both through it. Like it's just a testament to that. It's a testament to number one that the blood still works. It's a testament that prayer still works. And it's just a testament that like miracles can happen. Miracles can truly happen. And I'm grateful for both of their lives. And like I don't know if they realize how much just their strength and fight has inspired me. Like when you are facing death essentially, right? And you're able to look it in the face and beat it, like it's just incredible. And I'm just indebted to both of them for just helping me be a better person and just, making me realize that it's more to life than what I focus on. Small trivial things and at the time aren't really that important. It's like, who are the people that actually love you? Like, who are the people that you're investing time in? Like, spend time with those people, loving your people, because life is truly short.
yep, absolutely. And we, of course, from the 9450, extend our biggest congratulations, and we're going to continue to fight that good fight. That was such a great way to end that. Lo, again, I always appreciate you. You are the superstar that everybody needs to be following. This was a great show.
Yeah.
I think that, we covered the vast majority of what we needed to cover. And I think it's time to hit the melatonin, get ready for the next day. So we're gonna call it a wrap right here. Guys, thanks for watching and listening to Keeping It 9450, codename WBB. Follow us on all platforms at the 9450 on Twitter, at the 9450 underscore on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Follow us, of course. Uh, Follow me at k.lew3h on Twitter and Instagram. Everything KLEW, everything Clue on TikTok. And of course, my illustrious co-host. I'm gonna let you do your thing.
Yes. On Twitter, Lolo Bike, BYKE. I have multiple pages trying to impersonate me. If it's the one with two E's or the three as a E, that's not me. And y'all can just look at my tweets. Y'all know how I tweet. On TikTok, I'm Hoops with Low, and follow the Best Damn W Show on all social media, on all media platforms, all of those things. I think on Twitter, I'm gonna get it right this week, Kdot. I think it's the Best W Show. It's not the Best Damn W Show, it's the Best W Show. So follow my brothers on there too, Jay and Nick, Andre. It's always a pleasure to come and talk hoops with you, of course. And great show.
Absolutely. And there you have it. Thank you all for joining us. We will be back next week. It's always a pleasure. And like our old guy from Soul Train, Don Cornelius, we'll wish you love, peace, and hoops. See you later, guys.
Mm, mm, mm.